Happy Tuesday afternoon, everybody. We are just 2 days away from the start of the 2024-2025 NFL season. That means over here on Nikki Steve's channel, each week we're going to be talking about football, previewing Birds games, giving hot takes on the NFL. Let the journey begin.
Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nikki Steves! Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue think the slate, dropping unrealistic mad 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the milli, never hear me preach, look on to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22, authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way, sports content for the reals that fill the day.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now we're officially going to start this stream off. Officially welcome everyone to the Eagles versus Packers Week 1 preview with Nikki Steves. This is streaming both on my YouTube channel and the Hardcore Sports Network's YouTube channel. So make sure to like and subscribe to both channels. Quick link show, there's a link to my channel right there. And the link to the Hardcore Sports Network. The links will still be in the chat if you guys want to check it out. Now, let's dive into it. We got Eagles football back. Eagles are coming into the season fresh off a disappointing finish to the season last year with a 1-5 regular season finish after a 10-1 start, 1-6 counting the wild card abomination against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, good news is that's over. We can start fresh, new season, new roster, got a few new pieces to the mix, got Quinyon Mitchell. Of course, you got Saquon Barkley, big offseason acquisition that we had joined. We had Jahan Dotson join as a number 3 wide receiver. So we got a few solid pieces. Of course, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is now part of this roster as well. We'll still see how he pans out. But to me, he's a project player. But the point is, it's a new season. It's a new start. Let last year be a thing of the past. Let's start fresh this season. But this is going to be an interesting way to start the season because we're going to be doing something we haven't done before, referring to the Eagles. We're going to be playing a game on a Friday night. Yes. We're going to be playing Friday night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States, in Brazil, at Neoquímica Arena, which is a soccer stadium over there, which is going to be different this time. But obviously, hey, NFL wants to expand its market. They want to keep everything. They want to be international. They want to put more into the. Hold on 1 second. All right, we're back after the brief interruption, but let's get right into it. The Eagles-Packers game, that's going to go down Friday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll definitely be able to catch some bit of the game and see how this team does. And we going into this matchup, 2.5-point favorites against the Packers in Brazil. And hey, it's going to be, so we got the odds in our favor, but we still got to wait and see what's going to happen come game time, but there's a lot to talk about. We're going to go over this roster a little bit first and see who we got. Our team, I mean, most of you guys already know the roster, but we're going to take a look. This can also tie into the injury report. Obviously, we know Jalen Hurts is going to be starting for this team. Now, while we're still on that subject, it is fair to point out we've heard the story. Tim McManus dropped that there was supposedly some drama between Hurts and Sirianni, but the latest reports are indicating that Sirianni spoke positively about Hurts. This was a few days ago at a press conference, which is all good. However, though, at the same time, we know Sirianni, on one hand, Sirianni talking positively about Hurts means they're at least making an effort to be on the same page. Now, we don't know to what extent that relationship last year was rocky between the two of them. However, we do know that I do think there was obviously signs the team was on the same page last year, and that had the potential to blow over. We don't know to what extent. We don't know if that article by McManus was just clickbait to try to get people talking, but at least with Sirianni's comments, we know they're making an effort to be on the same page. Now, we do know Sirianni sometimes seems to have a tendency to go along with what the status quo is supposed to be. He's trying to always say what he should say. Now, on one hand, the problem with that is, you're not always going to get an honest answer out of the guy, and Sirianni kind of strikes me as that guy. He's not always going to be 100% on the up and up with everything he says. But that's beside the point. Let's get back to the main point. You got Jalen Hurts, course starting QB. Saquon, our number one back. Gainwell will be the number two. We'll get the number two backs. Will Shipley might get some time. AJ, Devontae, of course, with the top receivers. Jahan Dotson, our new acquisition from the Commanders. But then you got Dallas Goedert. That's the question mark. That's a big deal, actually, because now you think about it, if we have to go with Grant Calcaterra for the first game, that can make a big difference and affect our game plan significantly if Goddard can't go, because he's one of the main he's the number 3 weapon in that offense. When it's AJ, Devontae, Dallas Goedert all in the starting lineup and all playing, Goddard's the number 3 guy in that offense. So if he's not able to go Friday, then that changes our strategy, which I think our strategy for this game should be more of a run strategy, which I'll explain why as we go along. But then, of course, you got Mulata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Mihir Becton, of course, and then you got Lane Johnson. And that's another interesting point. Another thing to point out, Cam Jurgens will be starting at center. What will be the chemistry of this offense without Jason Kelce? This is the first time Cam Jurgens has had to step up. We'll have to see. Can he fill the void that Jason Kelce left when he decided to retire and move on to his post-football life? Because we know that the center isn't the position that always gets talked about, but the quarterback's chemistry at the center is significant. The question is, will Jurgens and Hurts click right away, or will it take a little bit of time for them to get some chemistry going? That's a question we have to ask ourselves that a lot of people don't think about. But it is something you have to consider. Is the chemistry going to be there? Well, we will find out. And then, of course, you got defense. You get Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter on there. It's good, I hope, which is good. It was fun yesterday on the Edge of Philly Sports. It was discussed that I think Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter should be the center guys in there. And then, of course, you get linebackers, Bryce Huff, Brandon Graham will be the second guy, Zach Bond is the outside linebacker, then Jeremiah Trotter Jr., then you got Devin White, Josh Sweat, Keely Ringo at cornerback, and you got CJ Gardner-Johnson at strong safety, Reed Blankenship, free safety, then you got Darius Slade Jr., Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. We could see them at some point in this game, but hey, we're coming to this matchup for the fair part. Most of our main guys, except for Goddard, or at least we know they'll at least be playing, barring a fluke practice injury. Goddard, we don't know for sure. It's just questionable, but we'll see if he's going to play or not. And I'll keep an eye out on the update into the injury reports, and we'll find out come Friday, will Goddard be playing or not? And then we're also going to take a look at the Packers while we're at it. Because we got to take a look at the Packers too. They got a new look as well on their roster, most notably at running back is their big upgrade. And that's going to tie into one of the key matchups for this game. So for the Green Bay Packers starting lineup, the Green Bay Packers here, you got Jordan Love, obviously a QB who just got that ridiculous contract, but that's beside the point. Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed. Now, as wide receivers, there's no star wide receivers, which that could be a good or bad thing. It could be a good thing for the Packers' sake if it's that mentality of, hey, all these guys, there's no real egos involved because there's no big star name wide receivers that's going to demand a bleep ton of throws their way. So maybe they could spread out the throws, but at the same time, not having that real go-to guy that could break the game open could be their downfall. You got Luke Musgrave. You got Jordan Morgan, the right guard, questionable. On defense, no real major injuries. You got Xavier McKinney's good. And you got Jair Alexander, who missed some time last year. He's back and fully healthy, but that's going to be one of the key matchups we're going to talk about in a minute. So there's several key matchups I wanted to talk about. And let's dive right into it while it's still on my mind. You got A.J. Brown versus Jair Alexander. And last time we played the Packers in that Sunday night game, we're going against the Rodgers Packers teams, the year of our Super Bowl run. A.J. caught 4 receptions on 6 targets for 40-plus yards and a touchdown against the Packers in that game. And he matched up fairly well against Jair Alexander. The only other time these two guys matched up was back in 2020 in the cold during that COVID season when Brown was a member of the Titans. He got 4 receptions on 8 carries, but that was an entirely different game and an entirely different situation. But the point is, we know from previous experience, A.J. Brown can match up well against Jair Alexander. And I got confidence going into this matchup that he can get open, make a few moves, and that Hurts can make those throws to him. So I think that could be a favorable matchup right there. But let's not forget, Jair Alexander is still an all-pro. And if he's had a full off season to recover from his injury, which caused him to miss some time last year, he could come into this matchup and do some significant he could make a few plays against him as well. But hey, I have confidence A.J. Brown. He is our number 1 receiver, and he was really kind of a slept-on receiver in Tennessee to a degree because they were a run-first team through Derrick Henry. So he wasn't his name picked, he became more marketable player with the Eagles. And now you see how good a receiver A.J. Brown is with the Eagles now, that he's in a big market city, he's in a pass offense. But I think A.J. Brown, Jair Alexander, that's a key matchup, obviously, right? Obviously, another key matchup, while we're still on the subject of wide receivers, is the Eagles secondary versus those Packers wide receivers. Now, you look at that Packers roster, we just went through it with the guys like Watson, Dobbs, Jaden Reed. There's nobody on paper that screams out, oh my gosh, this is a dangerous receiver. I don't see anyone on that Packers wide receiver core that's really got me shaking. I mean, you got some guys that can make you got Romeo Doubs can make some plays, and you got those receivers, decent core receivers, but nobody that's a true, it's not like going against a Tyreek Hill, or we're going against a tight end Travis Kelce against Kansas City, or it's not like going against Stephon Diggs, again, because we don't play Houston this year. It's not, to me, no, we don't see that. I don't see any guys on there that's a Packers team that's got me shook. But now the Eagles secondary, I got some confidence. Now C.J. Gardner-Johnson, how's he going to do? You got him, Reed Blankenship, kind of iffy on. Darius Slay, we know what he can do, but can he still keep up? After all, he's not a spring chicken either. Darius Slay isn't going to be there forever. Eventually he's going to wind down as a player. The question is, can he keep it up? Kelee Ringo? I'm kind of curious as to what he's going to do. I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen much from him, so I'm waiting to see what he's going to do and how he matches up against these Packers receivers. So with the secondary, I do feel there is a bit of uncertainty right there. I mean, we cook with guys, though, of course, like CJ and Slay. There's some confidence based off past experience, but there's also some question marks. Keely Ringo being one of those question marks. And I'm not saying you can't do anything, but we don't know yet. It kind of leaves it open, wondering, how's he going to fare against this team? So, I think the Packers, there's no wide receiver core. It's in because the Packers, when you think about it, they do have the potential to put up points against us. It could happen because we don't know how our secondary is going to fare. And then that ties us into our next matchup. We're going against the Packers' new offensive toy, for lack of a better term, running back Josh Jacobs. And with A.J. Dillon being out for the season, Packers are going to rely heavily on Jacobs in the run game. And they're going to start right off the bat week 1. They want to test their new running back and see what he can do. And it's also going to be a test on the flip side for this Eagles run defense. How do we fare against Josh Jacobs? Now, for the Eagles run defense, we didn't have exactly our defense, especially late in the season. We didn't do anything special in our run defense. Was giving up 3.5 to 4 yards per game last year. And you're taking a Packers team who was averaging with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon that many yards on average. Now you're going with Josh Jacobs this time around, who's considered amongst the elite backs during his time with the Raiders, and he's filling that void for them. That's going to be a key matchup as well. So that explains why the Eagles are only 2.5-point favorites, because on paper they're the much better team all around. They have the better all-around roster, but make no mistake about it, the Packers do have Josh Jacobs now. And they also have some players that look like they could do some players that look like, Jordan Love. If he's the Jordan Love of the second half of the season, even with that large contract, they could really do something here. So to me, it's a test run right here for the Packers. It's like Packers are hit or miss to me. So this could be a tougher game here. Now, and then this ties me onto the flip side. I think with the uncertainty of Goddard, whether or not he's going to play, that ties into another key matchup. Saquon versus the Packers run defense. And this is on paper, the most favorable matchup for the Eagles, because the Packers run defense has not been good under Matt LaFleur. That's been their weak point. And now you're coming in, they got another defensive coordinator this time around. You're talking about the Packers are now a team. They're going in with a brand new start on the defensive side with leadership from the sideline leadership, a new look, and they're going against Saquon for the Eagles. And Saquon, mind you, who even last season still put up solid numbers. He got close to 1,000 last season, even on that abysmal Giants team. And now he's coming in with a better offensive line around him. He's still got Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson there. Cam Jurgens, if he pans out, that's still some nice pieces. Saquon has some nice pieces that will help on that line, better than he had with the Giants. And I think you're going against a Packers team who's known to struggle against the run defense under the LaFleur era. That's a good matchup for the Eagles. That's why I think, that's why it's obvious on paper. Running the ball can help. You should go in there with the strategy of trying to run the ball offensively. And that's going to tie me now into the keys to victory. Talking keys to victory. Run the ball is the first key for the Eagles. You have Jalen Hurts. You know he can make plays with his arms and his legs. Let him make those plays with his feet. Because you let him make those plays with his feet, obviously we know he can run if he needs to, but then you got Saquon as well, who's got a good offensive line behind him. We know what he can do when he's at his best, when he's healthy. And you're going with Saquon against that Packers run defense that struggles. This is a favorable matchup. Test them early. Put them up, put their backs against the wall, and take advantage of that struggling run defense and use it to your advantage. Especially if the Eagles go early with the run game, you can get some big plays from Saquon or Hurts as well with the RPO game. And then as the game goes along, it opens room for the passing game. Favorable matchup in the AJ versus Jair Alexander matchup, or favorable routes Devontae Smith way. or the tight end way, whether it be Goddard or Calaterra. And that can send them running the ball early can also open the passing game as well. That's why one key for victory. Another key to victory is got to build a strategy around stopping Josh Jacobs. You know Josh Jacobs is the most dangerous weapon on that Packers offense. He's got to be the one guy you got to zone in on the most. And it was discussed yesterday on the Edge of Philly Sports. It was discussed if you put Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis in the middle, they can both get to the quarterback and stop the run. That's going to be another key to victory. Set up that defensive line, put Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis toward the center, because that can force the Packers to build around them. And if you got those two guys wrecking bleep at the middle, you can get some blitzes from the side from your linebackers. These guys could help stop the run and limit Josh Jacobs' efficiency. And that can help us out. But now with Vic Fangio, though, will he actually do it, though? I hope he does, but that remains to be seen, because Fangio in recent years, his strategies have not developed. He hasn't kept up as well with the modern offenses as he has in recent years. Like you saw last year with the Dolphins when they went against the Bills, they got destroyed. You saw they struggled against Kansas City twice, both the regular season and the wild card loss last year. I mean, yeah, they had that destruction of the Broncos, but that was an entirely different story. They shut out the Jets, who had nothing at quarterback at that point. But they even struggled against the Titans, too, in a close game. That Vic Fangio defense in Miami, under pressure, didn't do so well. So I'm hoping somebody has enough sense to say, put those guys in the middle. The other key to victory is you just got to be able to move the ball offensively. Because if we don't move the ball offensively, if we're constantly going 3 and out, we're keeping the Packers on the field. As time goes along, it'll wear our defense out, and it could be a serious problem. But the main keys to victory are to run the ball. Another key, test Jair Alexander as well, because we saw it last time. I just talked about it earlier. Last time, A.J. Brown was able to get some open looks on Jair in that win on Sunday night 2 years ago. So we got to do that as well. But those are my main 3 keys to victory. If you guys want to comment, let me know what your keys to victory are. Feel free to do so. And folks, I'm going to take a quick break real quick. I'll be right back with you guys. And before I go, once I return from this brief break, we're going to drop some NFL Week 1 hot takes as a whole. So those are my keys to victory for the Eagles. But before I go on break, I'll give you guys a score prediction. My score prediction for this game, I'm going to go 27-23 Eagles. I still think this can be a competitive game. This Packers team, hey, they're a solid team. They did get hot late in the season last year, and they did upset the Cowboys in the wild card round at AT&T Stadium. But that's my score prediction. You guys leave me your score prediction in the chat. I'll be right back, and then we'll talk about some NFL Week 1 hot takes around the league. Be back in a moment. All right, folks, I'm back. And now I'm going to close this thing out. We're going to get some week one hot takes from now. Before we get into it, I'm going to give a little preview. So tomorrow, we got a few streams going down. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be live on the Pick and Roll podcast with Mitch Koski, Coach Ed Gladney, Next Shift Randy if he returns. He was out last week. And Rios from Just Blaze Radio and Rios from Just Fans podcast. We're going to be live tomorrow discussing the Western Conference winners and losers, giving our takes on who we think had the best off seasons for episode 87 tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My favorite part of football season will be live for week one of Pick'ems. But for that, we're going to go around the table. It's going to be me, Mitch, a bunch. Still don't have the full lineup of who's going to be there yet. But we're going to go live. We're going to give our picks for who we got winning and losing the week one matchups. And so that'll be also tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can catch me live, 5 p.m. Pick and Roll podcast, discussing the NBA offseason for a brief bit, and then discussing week one pick'ems, 8 p.m. And then next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, September 11th, unfortunately, on the 23-year anniversary, I'll be hosting week 2 episode of Pick'ems. But for now, it's going to give you a few brief hot takes for week 1. Real quickly, I'm going to pull up the schedule for week 1. Going to give you a roundup of the matchups. Round of the matchups. Going to give a few brief hot takes. You guys want to give some hot takes in the comments, feel free to join in as well. Give me your hot takes. Just on anything for week 1 related. Give me any matchup, any game, any player, whatever the case may be. Feel free to give me your hot takes. Before I start there, just going to give a brief overview of the matchups. You get the Ravens in Kansas City. That's going to be, Kansas City's Super Bowl trophy ceremony. Packers, Eagles. Just talked about that one. Sunday, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, Atlanta Falcons, Arizona Cardinals, Buffalo Bills, Tennessee Titans, Chicago Bears. You got the Patriots and Bengals, Houston, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Miami, Carolina, New Orleans, the Vikings and Giants, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos, Seahawks, Cowboys, Browns, Commanders, Buccaneers. You got Lions hosting the Rams in a rematch from the wild card round last year on Sunday night. And then Monday night, you got the 49ers and Jets. Let's hope that for the Jets, this week 1 Monday night matchup goes better than last year's. But yeah, so let's see, a few hot takes for this one. Like Chargers will make a statement win with Harbaugh, and they'll at least get their hopes up after this week 1 matchup. Joe Burrow will have a smooth return day against the Patriots, because that Patriots team, face it, they're a dumpster fire in full-blown rebuild mode. And this is Gerard Mayo's first time as a head coach. And he's going into it with the crap that Belichick left him with last time. I think that's an easy win. Good return for Burrow. Saints and Panthers. Saints will get off to a hot start. They'll establish some sense of hope the season. I'm thinking my main hot take, Lions versus Rams is going to be the most enjoyable game of week 1. For whatever reason, I feel like that's going to be an enjoyable game because, both teams, the QBs, Stafford and Goff, are going to go into that game with something to prove. The Rams are going to come in looking for revenge for last year to prove that the Lions win over them was a fluke. Lions are looking to stick it to the Rams to show, hey, you may have won that Super Bowl the first season after the trade when we were in full-blown rebuild, but we're contenders now. You guys are just in the middle. You guys are just middle of the pack. That's my main hot take for week 1. It's a few hot takes right there for you guys. So, yeah, we're going to leave it at that right there. So, to everyone that tuned in, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed right here. If you haven't done so already, drop a like, subscribe to the platforms. And tomorrow, like a reminder, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, going to be Week 1 NFL Pick'ems, Hardcore Sports Network exclusive, meaning it's only going to be on that channel. It's going to be a roundabout, giving our Week 1 picks and hot takes for the season. And yeah, so to everyone that tuned in, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day or night, whatever your time you're catching this. And until next time, Nicky Stees signing off. Fly, Eagles, fly. And I'll catch you next time.